Thanks for joining me today. This is Gail Gross with Greetings from Gail, and I'm going to talk about adding embellishments to any project. I'm using as an example the Picture My Life cards from Holly and Ivy, the Christmas set that was in the September-October 2021 catalog. But the ideas that I'm giving will work on anything at all that you want to work with sequins or stickles and liquid pearls. For sequins, which is what we're going to start with, the device that I'm using is the new pickup tool from Close to My Heart. This is about 9 inches long. It's great, and it is made of wax. You can see here on the inside that it's just a wax stick covered with paper. And you simply put it into the pencil sharpener and you sharpen the end so that you have this wax exposed and can then pick up anything that is small. If you've got adhesive on the back, it's easy to just pop it off either with your finger or if you're laying it down someplace. Sometimes just a sharp pointed tool such as a piercing tool or even your tweezers would work for that. The thing about the length of this tool is that you can make it into smaller pieces. When I was working with it, it actually bent some on me because it is just wax. Not a problem. What I chose to do was simply cut it with my craft knife. So I just cut right here, and now I've got 2 pieces. One that's a little shorter and maybe a little easier to handle for some people. But because I'm going to be resting it kind of like a chopstick here, I'm going to go ahead and use the larger one on this project. When applying the sequins, they are of all different sizes, as you can see in there. And these are the loose sequins. So I need something that can go down and hold them in place on this card. Glue works, but I do want you to know that if it is a card that has some flexibility to it, that the glue adhered sequins sometimes pop off. So in that case, the thing that works really well are the glue dots, and I like the 1/8 inch micro glue dots that are out, and that's what I'm going to demonstrate today, along with using regular white glue. But I have a love-hate relationship with white glue because it never fails that when I go to squeeze out, it doesn't want to come right away when I'm ready, and then too much comes out, or maybe none at all. So I'm going to show you a trick for using a stylus, which is this small ball-tipped piece here on this tool that will allow you to put the glue directly on the paper without worrying about how much overflow you might get. So let's get started with this. I'm going to zoom in a bit so that you can see this a little bit better. Now on this particular card that I'm using, you can see that there's some berries, and I'm going to be putting my sequins right over the top of those berries. So let's start. These are the micro glue dots. In fact, they're so tiny that it's really hard to see them. Right there it is, right there in the spotlight. That's how tiny those glue dots are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up one of these smaller sequins. Okay, I've got it on my pickup tool, and I'm going to come and I'm going to place it right on top of my glue dot. And I apologize for going out of focus. I've got the camera zoomed in, then it's tough when I go to add it up closer. So now that that's down there, I'm going to grab it with my tweezers because I want to get that, and the glue is on the underside. And I can then just place it directly on the place that I want it on the card. That makes it really quick and easy. I'm going to do that with a second one here, and I won't go in quite as close. There we go. And I'll pull that off, and I'll put this one on the other side over here. Okay? So now I've got 2 sequins down on the project, but I have a lot more that I want to do. So what I want to do with this now is I want to use my glue. Okay, this is a multi-purpose glue for paper, and I am going to squeeze some of this out on a piece of cardstock. That way I don't have to worry about getting how much glue is actually going to go onto my project because I've squeezed it here first. Now, one thing you could do is you could actually pick some more up with the tip of your glue applicator, put it down like this, and don't squeeze it all on here, but put it down and then grab another sequin and put it down directly on top. Now this is where I'm going to hold it in place while I pull the wax pencil off of it. But that is one way that you can apply the glue, by using the tip of your applicator. The other is to take this stylus, and there you can see the rounded ball point on it. And I'm going to pick up glue here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this up a little bit and show you that with that glue on the tip of my stylus, I can dab it. And I can make a glob of glue wherever I want to put it. That now makes it easy for me to come back and just put the sequin on top of it. If you don't have a tool like this, this is the type of tool that we used to use with brass embossing folders, okay? You can take, this is a bamboo skewer, a lot of people have those in their kitchen, or a toothpick. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim just the tiniest amount off of the tip of that toothpick, okay? And I am going to do the same thing. Pick up some glue and put it down. Now I've got a dot of glue that I can use for this purpose. So let's use the toothpick right now for this. And I'm going to do this very tiny little one right there. You can see my dot of glue. And then I'm going to pick up another tiny little sequin, and I'm going to come in here and put that down, okay? And that one is stuck in place as well, okay? But I haven't had to worry about how much glue is going to come out. So I'm just going to keep going with this, and I'm going to put down here actually a couple of dots of glue. That one's going to be a larger sequin, so I went ahead and put a little bit more down because I had too much on my container. So I'm going to grab this white sequin, and I'm going to set it down there, use the point of my piercing tool, and now it is stuck, okay? Now I put another glob of glue right there. I am going to pick up a medium-sized silver one and put it down and also touch it into place. So I am getting those sequins in a variety of places here on the front of this card with very little effort. And I just think that this technique of using the glue and either the toothpick or the stylus works well for that. Okay, now the other thing that you can do to add some dimension to this card is you'll see that there are some berries up here, okay, some holly berries on this card. And I want to use some of the red liquid pearls to enhance those. But what I need to do is I need to practice before I get started with that. So what I'm going to do is when I go to work with the either Stickles or the liquid pearls are a little more solid in their appearance, is that I want to make sure that my pearls are flowing. So I'm squeezing before I ever get to my project. So there, I know that it's coming out now. So what I'm going to do is squeeze and touch it down to the paper and pull off. Now, I don't want this to go out of focus, but what you're getting is a nice full dot. If I need it to be larger, because these are larger berries over here, then what I'm going to do is simply make sure that I get more of the material coming out before I put it down. And I just pull the bottle away from it. Practice this before you get started on your good project so that it works the way you want it to. I'm going to turn this sideways, and I'm going to start the furthest one away from me so my hand doesn't drag across it. Okay, now I have this zoomed in as much as I can, and I'm just going to come in here and pull that up. I've got one of the liquid pearl berries down. Again, I'm going to pull it up after I've got the amount down on the project that I want. I'm going to try holding this up a little closer for you. See if you can see this. And then I'm going to come again and come up with that. Okay? And I pull up as I get done. Pull up. It kind of forms a peak, but then that peak settles down. And there we go. We've now got all 5 of those berries covered with the liquid pearls. Now here's the thing. This takes time to dry. So you need to have a spot to set it aside before you do anything else with it. I'm going to come back to this one in just a little bit. So I'm going to set it up here right now. The other thing is that sometimes you have very tiny berries that you want to do something with. What we're going to do for them is very similar to what we did with the glue. Okay, remember how we put down the splotch of glue and then we used the stylus in order to apply it? Well, we're going to do the same thing with the liquid pearls. I am going to put a glop of liquid pearls right there. So I've got that glop of it ready to go. Then I am going to pick up, I have a second stylus here. This is the one that I want. This stylus has 2 ends, a very tiny end and a medium size end. So I'm going to take the smaller of the ends because these are pretty small little dots. So I'm going to pick up some of that and I'm going to dab it down. Now you see it's not leaving a very big splotch, and that's what I want for this. So again, practice it and feel comfortable with it before you go to your project. I'm going to put it so that my project is away from my glop of liquid pearls, but I am just putting it down in the same way, setting it down and pulling it straight up so that I get some dimension when it dries. Okay, I'm going to show this to you in just a moment as I finish. There's 6 points here. Okay, and you can see that I've got all of those added with the liquid pearls. This is what the other side looks like. Okay, so let's do that side as well. Once again, I'm just taking that and I'm going to put it down. You do want to be careful not to get too much. I tried it with the larger end of the stylus and I did it with this scrap piece and they ran together. So it's much better to go small and get the effect that you want than letting them get too much pearl material, which is the liquid, before you do that. Okay, so there we go. Now both ends of this have the liquid pearls applied, and it just adds a nice dimension to the project. The last thing I want to talk about is adding the stickles. Okay, stickles are simply a glitter glue, okay? And glitter glue, again, takes time to dry. It is thinner than the liquid pearls are, so that means that as it dries, this one tends to spread out. I wanted to show you, but I think I set that piece aside. Some pieces that I did last night and they flattened out, but the nice thing is you can come back afterwards and add more to them. You can layer it. Now this is a card front that I did with sequins, okay? So there's the sequins. What I'm going to do on this card is instead of putting the sequins there, I am going to use the stickles, and I've got the diamond stickles, which are somewhat clear. Now, the thing with the Stickles is the same as with the liquid pearls, is that you need to practice. You want to make sure that yours is flowing. There's my dot to show that it's flowing properly. And then I'm just going to dab it down as much. If I leave it there longer, I'm going to get a bigger glob of it. I don't know a better word than a glob, but anyway, you can see that it's got just a little bit over here and more on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and start over here and just start adding some of that to these areas. And I can, because there's several of them together, I'm just going to do very, very tiny little dots there. Just basically barely touching it and getting it to come out. And I want you to see that there's that right here. This one is done as this one is as well. And the nice thing is that you can mix these. Remember I said I was going to come back to this one? So I've got sequins there, but there's some little small berries that are around it. So why don't we add some stickles to those little berries? Again, I want to keep my hand away from, so I'm not going to drag it across, and these sequins were applied with glue. So I'm going to be very careful as I come up here and just start adding those little drops of stickles. And when working with the stickles, the nice thing is when you're working with the clear ones like this, if you make a mistake and get it in the wrong spot, you can just kind of move it over a little bit. That's going to work just fine. I'm going to add a little bit up here, but anywhere at all. And this is a more subtle approach to adding the sparkle than by adding a lot of little gemstones or whatever. It's more subtle. It's just there. It gives the feel, but you don't have a huge amount of dimension, and you get a variety, which is really kind of fun. So those are techniques that you can use. By the way, the stickles, because they are thinner, don't work as well with the Stylus technique, but give it a try if you want to. I will put a blob down over here, and let's just take a peek and see how it works. I'll get some on this large one, and I can drop it down. So it does work. So especially if you're going into some very tiny spaces, you can give that a try. So good luck, have fun with this, and I hope that you enjoy embellishing all of your projects.